Welcome to Crushed Husband. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. It was barely 5 in the morning when we pulled up to the train station off Canal Street. Cold as hell, sky still dark, and the whole place smelled like burnt brake pads and stale coffee. I hadn't slept, came straight from my overnight shift at the warehouse, still in my work boots, hoodie, and dust-covered jeans. Lisa stepped out of the car like she was walking a red carpet. Long trench coat, tall boots, sunglasses. Yeah, sunglasses. And her suitcase had gold trim. She looked like money. Not our money, though. Mine. Behind her were those two women she always name-dropped, Clara and Jessica. They ran some high-end boutique in River North, and they looked like they sniffed perfume for a living. I nodded at them out of habit, polite. They looked at me like I was a stray dog that got too close to their shoes. Lisa didn't even wait until we were all the way inside. She turned toward me and hissed, "Don't walk with us. Just stay back a bit, okay?" I stared at her. "What?" She leaned in closer, fake smiling like I was some fan asking for an autograph. "Rick, your look. I mean, you literally came from the warehouse. I can't walk in with you like that. These are important connections." I didn't say anything. My hands were still on the handle of her second suitcase. I let go. Just dropped it right there on the sidewalk. Then I nodded, once, stepped back, and walked. I didn't look over my shoulder, didn't need to. I knew the look she was giving me. The "God, why can't you just be classy for once" glare. I'd seen it before. At dinner parties, work events, even at our own damn anniversary dinner, when I wore the boots she said made me look like I drove a forklift. I do, that's my job. But this was different. That moment hit different. Something clicked. This wasn't new. This wasn't heat of the moment. This was who she really was. Quick note. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I got to my truck, turned the key, and sat there for a second while the engine warmed up and my breath fogged the windshield. No part of me wanted to chase her. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was done. So I shifted into drive and pulled away, heading straight toward the one thing I'd been avoiding for way too long. A way out. I hit A290 just as the sun started breaking over the skyline, bleeding orange through the buildings. Traffic was thin, but every exit sign felt like a checkpoint. I wasn't just heading home. I was rolling toward a whole new playbook. Halfway to our apartment, I started doing the math in my head. 3-week fashion convention in New York. I paid for that. Lisa called it a career investment. Airfare, hotel, meals, rides, outfits. Yeah, all me. Her boutique business. That's me too. I paid for the startup costs, the marketing, even the damn selfie mirror she claimed was a tax write-off. The spoiler? It wasn't. And rent. We live in an overpriced unit near Lincoln Park that I've been covering mostly solo while she scales her brand. She told her parents we split things 50-50. Right? I cracked the window and let the cold slap me in the face. It felt good, clear, clean, like something I used to feel a long time ago. Back when I was in the Marines, I worked as a mechanic. 6 years. Desert heat, busted engines, zero tolerance for mistakes. We didn't make noise unless we had to. That's where I learned how power works. It's not about being loud. It's about being ready while they underestimate you. Lisa always underestimated me. She saw the boots and grease and thought I was just the stable one. The guy who'd pay the bills, keep quiet, and smile for Instagram while she lived out her fantasy. But I wasn't stupid, and I wasn't staying. At a red light near Halstead, I picked up my phone and called the Audi dealership. The guy who leased us her car answered. Friendly voice, probably thought I was calling for a maintenance appointment. "Hey, this is Rick Allen," I said. "That a 5 Sportback I leased in April. I'm bringing it in for early return. Don't need it anymore." There was a pause. "Is something wrong with the vehicle?" "Nope," I said. "Just don't want to pay for a car someone else is pretending to own." He laughed like I was joking. I wasn't. "While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from." I hung up and tossed the phone onto the passenger seat. She loved telling people it was her Audi. Posted selfies in it like it was a trophy. She never mentioned the lease was in my name, that the insurance, the down payment, the monthly bill, all mine. I started going down the mental list, our furniture, bought by me, streaming services, my card, website domain for her fashion blog, registered under my email. Even the damn NutriBullet was a birthday gift from me. The more I thought about it, the more obvious it became. Nothing we had was actually ours. It was mine, And Lisa just moved in and started playing house like she built it. Fine. If she could treat me like the help, I could treat this like a deployment, quiet exit, strategic withdrawal, no fireworks, no fights, just facts. I pulled off the highway and hit the last turn toward our building. My brain was already in motion. Return the Audi, call my cousin Joe about the moving truck, lock down the finances. I didn't need to scream. I had the keys. I parked in the garage and headed up the back stairs. Couldn't stand the lobby anymore. All glass and polished steel, made to impress. It never felt like me. Inside the apartment, I didn't even take off my boots. I stepped in and let the mess hit me all at once. Ring lights still on in the corner. 2 racks of color-coded outfits stretched across the living room. A light pink rug with sparkles in it. Fake plants crammed in every corner, all of them dusty. Her selfie mirror was leaning against the wall, plugged in and glowing. The couch had sequin pillows, and one of them actually said, "Boss Babe," in gold cursive. I wanted to throw it off the balcony. The second bedroom looked worse. It used to be my space. I'd set it up for tools, books, just a quiet spot to decompress. Now, it was a damn filming studio. Damn. White walls, white curtain, white vanity, beauty fridge on the floor, pile of makeup sponges. Her laptop was still open with a ring light clamped to the side. She even had a mini coffee maker in there, so she didn't have to break content flow. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, just staring. Then I pulled out my phone and called my cousin. "Joe, I need a favor." "What kind?" "You still got the box truck and the crew?" "Yeah, you moving?" "No, she is." He paused. "Lisa?" "Everything that's not mine. I want it packed and out of here, to storage." "Where at?" I gave him the address of a unit nearby, one I'd rented years ago and kept out of habit. He let out a low whistle. "All right, man. You want me to bubble wrap all the glittery crap, or just box it?" "Box it. Tape it. Stack it." "Got it. I'll bring Billy and James. Be there in an hour." I hung up, shoved the Boss Babe pillow into a garbage bag, and got to work. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. First thing I did was kill the power to all her lights and gadgets. I yanked plugs like I was defusing bombs. Ring lights, mini fridges, chargers, extension cords. Gone. Then I dragged her racks into the hallway one by one. Blouses, heels, faux fur coats, purses that cost more than a week's rent. She hadn't worn half of it in months. All image, no substance. I moved to the vanity and cleared it like a sweep team. Makeup brushes, skincare bottles, eyelash curlers, lipsticks lined up by shade, bagged, boxed, taped, the fridge. Still had face masks and little labeled jars in it. Tossed all of it in a tote. Joe showed up with the truck just as I started on the bathroom. More products, hair tools, designer soaps she never let me touch. "You weren't kidding," he said, looking around. "She turned this place into a showroom." "Not anymore," I said, handing him a box. They worked fast. Room by room, the apartment started breathing again. White walls came back, floor cleared, coffee table visible. No more neon signs that said things like "Girl Boss Energy." Just space, air, quiet. By sundown, everything that wasn't mine was gone. I stood in the middle of the living room, sweaty and sore, and for the first time in a long damn while, I could hear nothing but the hum of the fridge and the creak of old floorboards. My recliner, beat up, ugly, mine, was right where I left it. I dropped into it, leaned back, and let my eyes close for a second. No glitter, no cameras, no audience, just me. I stayed in that recliner just long enough to stop sweating. Then I stood up, cracked my knuckles, and got to work on part 2, digital cleanup. This was the part Lisa never saw coming. Back in the Marines, I wasn't just turning wrenches. I did tech support for a logistics squadron my last 2 years. Ran diagnostics, built custom rigs, secured comms. Never bragged about it, didn't need to, but I knew my way around a network better than most of her content creator friends ever would. Started with the Wi-Fi, logged into the router, changed the SSID and password, kicked every device off except mine, her laptop. Disconnected, her tablet, offline, smart lights, dark. Her fancy coffee machine that ran off an app, dead in the water. Then I moved to the financials. Pulled up our shared credit card account, changed the login, removed her as an authorized user, and locked the card. switched over utilities, Netflix, grocery app, all of it, to my personal email. Anything she might have accessed from her phone, I shut down one by one. By the time I was done, the digital leash she'd been tugging on was gone. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. Next up, the website. Her whole brand lived on that site. Fashion tips, blog posts, links to affiliate codes, photo shoots with filters cranked so high she looked like a magazine cover. What she never told her followers. I built it, bought the domain, set up the hosting, did all the back-end work on my off days while she barked brand slogans from the couch. I logged in through the control panel, still under my account. Put the site in maintenance mode with a plain gray screen and one message, site under reconstruction. I didn't delete it, I just took the wheel. Then I went deeper. Her email was tied to a dozen apps and platforms, but guess who the recovery contact was? Me. Instagram, removed. TikTok, removed. Pinterest, removed. I didn't change her passwords. I just cut myself out, cleaned my fingerprints off the whole thing. From the outside, everything looked normal. On the inside, she had no backup plan. That's what got me most. For someone who lived online, she never stopped to think who made it possible. By late afternoon, I walked down to the bank, opened a new checking account, and transferred everything from our joint one into it. The old account, empty now. I left just enough to keep it open so she wouldn't notice right away. Not until she tried to order a $30 salad and her card declined. Back at the apartment, I wiped my laptop clean of her files. Hundreds of selfies, brand contracts, product lists, trashed. I didn't snoop, I didn't need to. If it wasn't mine, it didn't belong here anymore. I paused at the end, stared at the login for her email account one last time. I could have locked her out, changed everything, made it all vanish. But I didn't. I wasn't here for revenge. I was here to remove myself from the narrative. I clicked log out and shut the lid. I stood up from the desk, stretched my back, and took one last look at the living room. It was clean now, stripped down and quiet, but it still smelled like her perfume and fake candles. I was done letting that space belong to her. First thing I did was hit the second bedroom, the old filming studio. I opened the closet and dragged out the gear I'd boxed up when she moved in. My drill set, hand tools, shop apron, and the bookshelf I built in Oceanside during a weekend leave. I set it up against the far wall, took my time leveling it right. Then I brought in a fold-out table from the storage unit, mounted my vice clamp, and laid out my socket set. She had her little makeup empire here. I had my workspace back. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. Next was furniture. I pulled up a resale app and hunted down stuff I actually liked. No tufted velvet chairs, no gold accents, just solid pieces made to last. Found a leather couch from a guy in Berwyn. Dark brown, a few scuffs, but it smelled like real hide, not that plastic showroom crap. Hauled it home in my truck and pushed it right into the center of the living room, fit like it always belonged there. I picked up a basic but clean TV stand, wired in some decent speakers I'd had, boxed up in the closet, and connected the sound system I bought years ago, but never got to use because wires looked ugly. Now, wires were welcome. I tossed every decorative throw pillow she ever owned into a donation bag, including the one that said, "Slay all day." I grabbed a fleece Cubs blanket and threw it over the arm of the couch instead. By the time Friday rolled around, the place didn't just look different, it felt different. My boots sounded louder on the floor. My own reflection looked back at me when I walked past the hallway mirror, not some forced version of myself she always tried to polish up. Saturday afternoon, Kenny came by with a six-pack and a bag of brats. "Damn," he said, walking in. "This looks like an actual apartment now." "It's mine," I said, handing him a beer. Finally. We set up the mini grill on the balcony, cracked open the first 2 bottles, and put the game on. Cubs were down early but came back in the 6th. Kenny yelled at the TV like it owed him money. We had mustard on our shirts, beer on the table, and not one camera in our faces. No, "Can you guys keep it down? I'm filming." No fake laughing for stories or being asked to reshoot a moment that didn't vibe right. Nobody was tagging me. Nobody was turning our life into content. It was just Saturday. Beer, food, baseball. Halfway through the game, Kenny looked around and nodded toward the living room. "You should have done this sooner." I took a swig. "Yeah, I know." We sat back and watched the last inning in peace. And for the first time in years, I wasn't bracing for some complaint, some chore list, some passive-aggressive comment wrapped in influencer tone. Just breathing. Just living. When Kenny left, I rinsed out the grill tray, shut the balcony door, and stood there a second with my hand on the knob. Then I turned off the lights, flopped onto the leather couch, and put my feet up. I woke up the next morning to sunlight actually hitting the floor. No blackout curtains, no diffuser haze. Just daylight and the sound of birds on the fire escape. For the first time in years, I didn't wake up to a to-do list taped to the fridge or some high-pitched voice reminding me what was urgent. I sat up, scratched my chest, and realized I had nowhere to be. And that felt damn good. I grabbed an old tackle box from the hall closet and drove out to Bussy Woods with my rod in the bed of the truck. Caught nothing but weeds for the first hour, and still didn't care. I just sat on the bank with a thermos of coffee, boots in the mud, and let my head go quiet. Started hiking on weekends too. Just me, a trail, and a cheap pair of boots with no one telling me I should be filming it for reels. At work, a few of the guys started a pickup game on Sundays. I used to say no. Lisa hated me being gone too long on weekends. This time, I said yes without checking anybody's schedule. We played in an old gym behind a school near Cicero. Wooden floor, no AC, and enough bad knees in the room to make a retirement home jealous. But it felt real, sweaty, loud, fun. Nobody posing, just ball. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. By week 3, I joined a local woodshop meetup down on Western Avenue. Mostly older guys and a few hobbyists like me. I brought in a side table I'd started building from reclaimed oak. One guy offered me $100 on the spot. I laughed, thought he was kidding. He wasn't. So I started building again. Tables, benches, a couple shelves. Sold my first piece on Facebook Marketplace to a nurse in Wicker Park who told me it looked rustic but not try hard. I took that as a compliment. Meanwhile, Lisa's Instagram looked like a perfume ad. She posted daily from rooftop lounges, high-end boutiques, champagne brunches in Manhattan. Every photo had a caption like, "Girls who grind together shine together," or "Energy doesn't lie." Always surrounded by Clara, Jessica, and 3 new faces I didn't recognize. I clicked through a few posts. Not one mention of me. Not even a "miss you" or "my husband back home." You wouldn't know she had a husband at all. I wasn't in her story. Never really was, I shrugged. That's fine. She wanted image. I chose reality. One Friday night, I got a text from a guy at work. "Darts and beer at Rudy's. You in?" I stared at it for half a second before I answered. Hell yes. Didn't have to explain where I was going. Didn't need to apologize for being late to dinner or double-check someone's filming schedule. Rudy's was loud, packed, and smelled like fried food and spilled beer. I played a few rounds of darts, lost every single one, and laughed harder than I had in months. No filters, no angles, no one turning memories into content. I got home around midnight, shoes sticky from bar floors, stomach full of fries and IPA. Sat down on the new couch, stretched out, and stared up at the ceiling fan spinning slow. This, right here, this was mine. Next morning, I made coffee, packed my cooler, and opened my laptop. Her flight was landing tomorrow afternoon. I pulled up Gmail and typed exactly what I needed to say. No fluff, no apology. Subject, your return. Lisa, your things are in a climate-controlled storage unit. Locations attached, the keys with the front desk, the Audi was returned. All joint accounts have been closed or transferred. Locks have been changed. You said I embarrassed you. I'm making sure that never happens again. There's nothing else to discuss. Rick, I read it once, twice, then hit send. Closed the laptop and unplugged it from the wall. I wasn't giving her the chance to spin this into a conversation. I tossed it into the cabinet above the fridge and turned off my phone too. Not silent, not do not disturb, off. The quiet that followed, pure. I packed up the truck, duffel bag, toolbox, camping gear, the flannel jacket I hadn't worn since our first winter together. Felt good pulling it on without hearing, "Are you really wearing that?" I left the apartment without locking up right away. Just stood in the doorway for a second, looking around at the space I'd finally taken back. The smell of leather, sawdust, and fresh coffee. Not a ring light in sight. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. I locked the door, walked down the hall, and didn't look back. The drive was long and wide open. I took Route 20 west out of the city, windows cracked, stereo low. Stopped in Rockford for gas and grabbed a breakfast sandwich from some hole-in-the-wall spot with burnt coffee and sticky tables. Perfect. Didn't use GPS, didn't need a plan. I pointed the truck toward the Dakotas and drove. I passed through small towns with one traffic light and old pickup trucks parked crooked outside diners. Stayed in a cheap motel that didn't ask questions. Took a picture of a prairie view with my actual eyes. No filter, no story post. Nobody asked me to smile. Nobody was watching. Back in Chicago, Lisa would be landing around now, rolling her matching luggage through O'Hare, posting some dramatic boomerang with "back to reality" in cursive font. Probably expecting the Audi at the curb, a house smelling like wax melts, and a husband who'd ask how her trip went. Instead, she'd find her key didn't work, her name off the lease, her stuff boxed, stacked, and gone. My number. Disconnected. Her plan was to walk back into the life she curated like it was a set. Mine was to make damn sure she couldn't. By sunset, I was 300 miles out, parked under an open sky, grill fired up beside a cracked rest stop picnic table. Nothing around me but silence and dry air. I leaned back in the driver's seat, cracked open a cold one, and let the engine tick itself cool. Phone off, mind clear. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I felt like I didn't owe anyone a damn thing. I was 2 days into my road trip, somewhere between Sioux Falls and Rapid City, when I got the call. Didn't answer it, obviously. Phone was still off and tossed in the glove box. But when I finally stopped for gas and powered it on just long enough to check messages, there were 5 missed calls from Kenny, a couple voicemails, and one text that just said, "Bro." She lost it. When I got back home later that week, Kenny caught me in the hallway before I even made it to my door. "You got a minute?" he asked, grinning like he'd been holding it in for days. I unlocked the apartment, dropped my bag, and cracked a beer. "All right," I said. "Tell me everything." He leaned against the counter, shaking his head. Man, I've never seen anything like it. Lisa had shown up in a black Escalade from the airport, 2 Louis Vuitton bags in hand, wearing this huge fur-lined coat like she was walking into a photo shoot. Sunglasses, heels, all of it. Walked straight up to the front door like she owned the building. But the key didn't work. She tried it 3 times, then buzzed the manager. She was already starting to panic, Kenny said. You could see it on her face, like her whole Instagram feed was about to glitch out. She marched into the lobby, heels clicking like gunshots, and demanded to know what was going on. The building manager, this older guy named Pete, calmly told her she was no longer on the lease, that the unit was now under sole occupancy. Lisa laughed in his face, tried to argue, pulled up some email on her phone. Pete didn't flinch. "She starts yelling," Kenny said. Real loud. Whole lobby could hear it. Something about fraud and sabotage. Said you were ruining her image. Then she called the cops. That got the crowd's attention. 2 squad cars pulled up. She pointed at the building, the door, the keypad, like she was directing traffic on a film set. Cops checked the paperwork. Lease, my name, storage unit, my rental, car, already returned. "Nothing we can do, ma'am," one of the officers said. "He lives here? You don't." That's when the tears started, not the quiet kind either. Kenny said she dropped to the bench in the lobby and started full-on sobbing, mascara streaking down both cheeks, yelling into her phone while swiping through apps like she was trying to find an escape hatch. "While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from." "You know who showed up next?" Kenny asked. "Let me guess," I said. "Her parents." He nodded. "Yep, both of them. Mom looked like she was about to faint. Dad looked ready to sue somebody. They stormed in asking questions. Why the keys didn't work. Why the storage unit existed. Why nobody told them anything. Pete calmly repeated what I'd emailed Lisa. Everything had been handled, and all her belongings were accessible with the storage code on file. "She tried calling you at least 20 times, Kenny said. "Right there in front of everyone." "She still is," I said, holding up my phone. "Blocked." Lisa finally gave up trying to get inside and sat on her luggage in front of the building for hours. Kenny said people walked by taking videos. One girl even recognized her from Instagram and started recording on the spot. Later that night, Lisa posted a story, not 1, 7, all crying, rambling about betrayal and sabotage and image destruction. She called me a parasite, then a ghost, then a controlling narcissist. The comments, rough. People weren't siding with her. They asked where her husband was, asked why she never mentioned she was married. One girl commented, "So wait, the man funding your content left and now you're mad." Another said, "Actions have consequences, sweetheart." Kenny took a sip of beer and shook his head. "She looked like someone getting booted off a reality show." I laughed. "Sounds about right." A week later, I was sanding down a slab of white oak on the balcony when the envelope showed up. Certified mail, fancy letterhead. Some firm in Evanston I'd never heard of, but I recognized the name at the bottom right away. Lisa's dad's attorney. I opened it slow, already knowing where this was headed. The letter was 4 pages of nonsense. Legalese dressed up like a threat. Words like unjust enrichment, marital duty, and spousal support. Her dad must have thought I was just some dumb mechanic who wouldn't push back. They demanded a payout, claimed Lisa had suffered damages from the sudden split, said, "I unilaterally seized joint property," even hinted at emotional distress. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I walked inside, poured a coffee, and called Gary. Gary had been my go-to since I bought the truck 3 years ago. Down-to-earth guy, ex-army, had a beard like a mountain man and a brain like a damn shark. He picked up on the second ring. "Got the letter," he said. "Just read it." I already drafted a response. "While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from." Gary didn't play defense. He went full offense. He attached copies of the apartment lease, showing it was under my name, paid in full by me, since day one. Same with the Audi, registered, financed, and insured under me. All backed up with receipts, payment logs, and bank records. Then he dropped the hammer, a spreadsheet. 73 line items, every dime I'd ever spent on Lisa's business. From domain hosting to boutique inventory to social media ad boosts. He even listed the glam light and tripod I bought from Best Buy. The total, just over $60,000. "Want to push this?" Gary wrote in the cover letter. "We'll file a counterclaim tomorrow." That was it. No drawn-out back and forth. No backpedaling. Just silence. Lisa's lawyer went dark. No reply, no call, nothing. A few days later, Lisa stopped posting. Her followers started dropping. Fast. You could see the numbers falling in real time. 10,000, 8,000, down into the low fives. Then the comments shifted. "Fake marriage. You played yourself. You okay, girl?" Then came the best part. Clara and Jessica unfollowed her. I don't know what happened between them. Maybe they didn't want the smoke. Or maybe they realized the Lisa they hyped up online wasn't the same behind the scenes. Didn't matter. I was busy. Had a new client. A small business owner who wanted a handcrafted dining table for his shop's break room. Nothing flashy, just real wood, clean finish. I sketched a design, picked up the lumber, and spent the whole week cutting, sanding, sealing, sweat on my back, sawdust in my nose. Felt like something I hadn't had in years. Purpose. Every board I nailed down was mine. Every hour I spent in the shop was mine. And every dollar I made from it, that sure as hell was mine too. 4 months later, I was standing barefoot in my own kitchen, drinking black coffee out of a chipped Cubs mug, and listening to the hum of a quiet apartment. No ring lights buzzing. No curated playlists blasting fake morning vibes. Just the sound of peace. The couch was worn in. My bookshelf was full again. The dining table I built last month sat under a real plant, the kind that grows dirt and all, not plastic. Every inch of this place felt like mine because it was. My side business had gone from Craigslist flips to actual commissions. Word spread fast. Friends of friends, small shops, even a couple apartment managers who wanted custom benches for their lobbies. I wasn't rich, but I was building something, with my own hands, on my own time. Lisa. Last I heard, she'd been spotted applying for retail jobs at a few boutiques downtown. One girl messaged me and said Lisa was calling herself a decor advisor, claimed she had design experience and tried showing off photos of my old apartment, back when it was all dolled up and fake. That was the kicker. She was still trying to sell an image, and none of it was hers. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. I didn't comment, didn't engage, I just kept doing my thing. Started planning a trip to Montana. No reason, no big journey of self-crap. Just because I wanted to see the mountains and shut my phone off for a while. Then, last week, I got a message from an old buddy I served with. Said he was opening a small woodworking shop in Joliet and wanted a partner he could trust. I heard you're back to building, he wrote. You in? I stared at the message for a minute, then texted him back one word. Hell yes. Truth is, Lisa picked a life that looked good on camera. Expensive meals, rented cars, and fake smiles stretched across 10-second clips. I picked something different, a life that actually felt good, something solid, something real. And now, I was living it. No hashtags, no sponsors, no audience. Just me, a tool belt, and a Saturday morning with nowhere I had to be.